Okay, so yeah, so those little terbutaline or whatever they're called shots, they really hurt. It's with a really short needle, but the sting afterwards is like hell, you know. So and with the magnesium, it's pretty much a drip coming through the IV. It's like over time, you know, whatever. But they wanted to get mine down really fast, so they kind of gave me a push through the IV. And if your nurse pushes the magnesium too fast, it's gonna burn your arm. Trust me and believe. Okay, it's gonna burn. So that was pretty much Monday, Tuesday. On Wednesday, they started letting me eat. You know, so I'm like, finally, like, yes, I can get some food. But of course, they had me on low sodium because of my blood pressure. So, which was no fun. The food at the hospital, at that hospital where I go, it's actually really good. Which I can't say about most hospitals. The food is good, but without the salt, it's like almost like, come on, guys, like really, like I need something other than pepper. But it was okay. So, you know, I was pretty much eating, you know, just eating what they give me, and I was finally able to drink water and drink juice. I had hubby to bring me, you know, a whole gallon of like cranberry juice because my last video that I posted, you guys can see from my face that I just look dehydrated, that I look hungry. I had cotton mouth. It just wasn't a good look. So I was happy on Wednesday that I was able to eat. And, you know, I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm like, okay, so they're letting me eat. That means that I'm going home. I'm not going to deliver. So Thursday come around, Thursday morning, and they're like, my nurse is pretty much like, okay, you should be, you know, discharged today. We're just waiting for your doctor. And I'm like, okay, cool, not a problem. So, so the nurse is like, you know, let me pretty much go get your papers. Sorry, hold on one second, guys. So like, pretty much, let me go get your discharge papers, and you know, I'll be right back. And the doctor um, came in, and she said, you know, hey, you're gonna be discharged today. Now this is around, I don't know, like 11 o'clock in the morning, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Now, my daughter had texted me that, hey, mom, you know, like tomorrow, which would be Thursday, no, November 9th. She said, hey, tomorrow, November 9th, I have an award ceremony because she got straight A's, so she made the honor roll. Will you be there? And I said, yeah, I'll be there. You know, I'm leaving the hospital today. I don't know what time, but you know, don't wait up for me. But I'll be there to tuck you guys into bed. Okay, mom. So I'm like happy. You know, I'm just excited. So we pretty much went through the day, just pretty much waiting for it to be discharged. Now, the time was coming. My doctor, you know, they removed my IV. You know, they pretty much gave me all the instructions. Do this, do that, and I had to follow up with a hematologist and maternal fetal medicine. I believe the following day, or something like that. And while I was there, they actually gave me little things of, you know, they hung it through the IV of iron to pretty much get my hemoglobin, my hematocrit up. So they did that for a while, but as the hematologist said, it doesn't take effect. Well, you don't see changes in your body until for a week later. So it was kind of like, okay, like a week later, like, come on, guy, like, really? Okay. So we did that, and I changed my clothes, and I said, hey, you know, you're going to be discharged. Okay. I changed my clothes. I'm ready to go. Got my bags already packed. And then my doctor comes in, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, but maternal fetal medicine said no. And like, when I tell you guys, instantly, like, I just started bawling, crying. I've been wanting to go home since I got in there. And it was like, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I know you want to go home. You want to get to your babies. You miss them. But, honey, this is the best place for you to be. I said, I know, you know, but I'm just so upset. And in my mind, I was thinking more so that, okay, I've already told my daughter, like, I'm going to be at her award ceremony. So that was my upset. Like, I didn't want to disappoint her. You know, I wanted to be there for her. And she's in 3rd grade, so she just actually started getting grades and, like, not numbers. So I wanted to be there for that. And I just remember being so upset, you know. So she came in like, no, you're not going home. So I was so pissed off. I took a very long shower, like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, they kept checking on me because they were like, okay, you know, we have to put you back on the magnesium. So I was off pretty much the monitor, the IV. They kept coming in there like, are you done yet? Are you still in the shower? I was so upset. I just wanted to just get away from that place. And maybe I would say sometime the following morning, maternal fetal medicine came in. And she's like, hey, you know, when was the last time that you ate? And I told her the time I ate or whatever. And she's like, okay, pretty much like we have no choice. We have to deliver the babies because your health is declining and the contractions are getting closer. We can only give you so much medicine. Like we have to get them out. And my hematocrit was, and my hemoglobin was so low that it was like almost like dangerous. It's like it was a no-brainer at that point to deliver. So I said, okay, you know, like we can do. She's like, when do you want to deliver it? You know, in the morning or in the afternoon? I said, you know, whichever's best. It doesn't matter. Something happened. Like I don't think we were ready in time or something. So I ended up delivering towards the evening part, and I think about 7 or 8 o'clock we went in there or whatever, and which was fine. So you know, we're getting all ready, you know, to go to the operating room. And the nurse leaves, and then, you know, hubby's like, oh, I'm going to run to the car to get something really quick. And then my phone rings, the room phone. And I pick it up. And at the same time, dietary is coming in. And she's like, oh, like, you know, here's your tray. And I'm telling her, like, hey, you know, I can't have that. I'm getting ready to go to surgery. And someone calls me, and they literally say, hey, are you ready to die? And I'm like, what? And I said, what? Hello? And I tried to act like I didn't understand it. Hello? Are you ready to die? And they kept repeating it. Are you ready to die? But at the same time, I'm talking to dietary. So I want this person to think on the phone that I'm really not paying attention, but I hear everything they're saying. I just want them to keep talking to see if I can recognize the voice, pretty much. And I just hung up the phone. So now I'm already a ball of emotion. Now I didn't go home the day before, right? So I'm already pissed off about that. Now if you've been following me and watching my videos, you know that I'm scared to death of surgeries. All of my other babies have been vaginal. So I'm pretty much scared of C-sections, and to get a call literally right before you're going into a major surgery, which C-sections are, I couldn't stop crying. I called my nurse. I said, hey, can you come in here? Because, you know, when you press the call button, they pretty much ask you from the call button, like, hey, you know, like, what do you need or whatever. And I said, just can you come in here? And she comes in there and she sees me all upset. She's like, what's going on? And I said, somebody just called my phone and asked me, am I ready to die? And she's like, what? Are you serious? So she pretty much called the hospital security and see if they can pretty much try to trace the call, but they couldn't, the way that the calls are routed. And based on how the person called, if they're transferred, they can't trace the call, and that call was transferred. And they didn't call directly, you know, they didn't call the line directly and then put in my extension. They called the operator, which the operator transferred them to me. So they couldn't find out who, you know, the call came from. So now at this point, they're like, okay, do you want to be, you know, pretty much blind in the hospital, meaning if you go blind, like, nobody will know you're here. Like, nobody will be able to come see you. And I said, no, I want it to be, you know, the way that it is. I just want only the people that I have on my list to be able to come see me. So they did that, you know. It was kind of like a, you know, a scare for me, a scare for hubby. It was like, well, who would say something like that? Who would do something like that? And the fact that they actually called me by my name. Like, nobody knew that I was at the hospital. Nobody knew that I was there but my mom, my sister, my brother, and hubby. That was it. Nobody else knew that I was there. So it was like, who in the hell has the nerve to call me and just coincidentally, right before I go into surgery, like as they're prepping me, right before they're prepping me, call me and ask me, am I ready to die? So we got past that. Now, you know, they do what they're supposed to do. They like shave you, you know, where they're going to make the incision and those type of things. And they fit hubby for, you know, his scrubs. Then they tell us, like, you know, like, we couldn't bring video camera, like a video, you know, record in there. So that was a bummer. Can't give you guys any video footage, but He was able to bring his phone and the camera in there, so we were able to get, you know, some pictures or whatever. Okay, so we head down to the post-op room, and we're there, and you know, hubby has to stay in the post-op while they, you know, wheel me into the operating room, and they're pretty much doing the spinal. And I told the anesthesiologist before I went in, I said, hey, you know, I was here last year. They stuck me like 8 times in my back for an epidural. Don't want it happening again. And I still felt half the pain on half the part of my body. So she's like, we're not going to do that. I'm going to see where they get placement, and we're going to put it somewhere else. But like I said, if you guys been following me, my story on here, you'll know that I got in a car accident in 2014. I have bulging disc, right exactly where they put, you know, the spinals and the epidural. So I was very pessimistic about it actually working. So we got in there, and I got the spinal. To my surprise, it really didn't hurt at all. I don't know if I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was, but to me, I didn't even flinch. You know, just put my back like a cat, and it didn't hurt at all. And surprisingly, like, you can feel the warmth coming through your body. And I'm laying on the table at this point, and I can feel the medicine moving up my body. Let me just say that. And it was literally, I can feel the medicine like up to my neck, because I even told her, I said, hey, you know, because she's sitting like right next to me by my head, like, let me know everything you feel. And I said, hey, I can't breathe. She said, that's just the medicine coming up. You can breathe. And just for comfort, they put the mask over my face so I can feel like I'm breathing. But I did get a feeling like I was falling off the table. And she told me, you're not falling. It's just an effect of the medication. The table is tilted to one side, so you may feel like you're falling, but you're not. So everything was fine. And I was strapped to the table, so I'm not going anywhere. So everything went fine with the actual C-section. You know, the boys came in. They came in at 8:01 and at 8:02. They both were 5 pounds, 13 ounces. And this was November 9th. So they were identical in weight. As far as the inches, baby A, this is baby A, he was 18.5 inches, and baby B was 18 inches. So everything else was exactly the same. So everything went good there. The doctor, you know, held them up when she took them out over the curtains. I was able to see them. And there was an ARNP. She was in the room, and she said, like, hey, Mom, do you plan on breastfeeding? I said, no, bottle feed. I don't plan on getting up every hour and a half to feed them. And she said, okay, good, because, you know, they're on the smaller side, and formula probably will be best because we know they're getting all the calories that they need. Cool, perfectly fine. So we go to post-op, and everything, like, the world starts crashing down, like, in the blink of an eye. Now, hubby is pretty much with the babies. They went to the regular nursery. Okay, they didn't need to go to NICU. Everything was fine. Their APGAR score was perfect, and they just went to their regular nursery. So hubby was up there with them. You know, I was in post-op. They told me that I would be there for at least 2 hours before I would be able to go to a recovery room. Okay, now I remember laying on the bed, and like I said, in the operating room, I kept feeling like I was falling. So they had both of the rails up on the bed, and I remember looking at the monitors, and my heart rate was literally like a 43, a 4 and a 3, right? So my blood pressure was 200. I think it was 202 over 100 and something. My blood pressure was high. My heart rate was low. My respirations were very low. I remember at one point when I was going in and out, I remember looking at the monitor, and my respirations were like 9. So it was really scary. And they kept telling me, you know, like, close your eyes. Close your eyes. There was a bright light right above, you know, my head when I was slinging back, and they said, oh, close your eyes, it'll make it, you know, better. The light wouldn't bother you. I said, the light doesn't bother me. I said, I just had 2 babies. I'm not closing my eyes. And I kept saying, if I close my eyes, I will not wake up again. And when I tell you, like, it was the scariest thing ever, it was scary. Because I know I was going in and out. I was losing consciousness. And like literally, the charge nurse was helping me, and there were maybe, I don't know, like 7 or 8 people around my bed. They were I had IVs in each arm. I had IVs in each arm. And in addition to that, they even tried to put an IV in my foot because they needed to get more medication into me. I had, that I can remember, at least 2 or 3 transfusions while I was in the post-op room. Now, you're only there for like 2 hours, or so, while they stabilize you. I had transfusions, and they're giving me, this blood. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much, I know what's going on. I'm no dummy. I went to nursing school, so I know how to read the monitors. I know exactly what's going on. And, after you have a C-section, they have to pretty much push on your uterus to, every 15 minutes or so to, check to see if it's firm so that you don't clot and things like that. And when I tell you, when the nurse put a sheet over my belly, I screamed from excruciating pain. They were like, holy crap, what is wrong with her? And the first time they did it, the first time they said, hey, I need to push on your stomach, I was very timid. I was like, because, I was still sort of numb, so I didn't think it would hurt, so I let them push, and I was like, literally, it was like a slow cry. It was like and then I just started wailing. And, I said, no, there's no way. So the next 15 minutes when they came to push again, I said, no. I declined. Nobody is going to touch my uterus. Nobody's going to push on my stomach. Nobody. That's how much pain I was. And they said, but, we have to do this. You're going to start clotting. We have to do this every 15 minutes. I said, I don't care what you have to do, but you're not pushing on my stomach. So I went out again. Now, it's scary because I'm in the post-op room by myself. Nobody's there. I don't even think hubby knew what was going on because, like I said, he's in the nursery with the babies. And I remember going in and out, and still I'm saying, I'm falling off the bed. I'm literally holding on, like, for dear life to the rails of the bed. And they're like, you're not going anywhere, you're perfectly fine. So, once again, the next time I remember, coming back, I see that, my heart rate is like a 36. And I remember telling myself in my head, I said, oh my God, you're like barely living. You're like barely living. And I think that it was more so mind over matter. Like, I knew I did not want to close my eyes because I just had 2 babies. Like, I have to be there for them. And I remember just going out. When I came back, I see them they have shocks in their hand. I'm like, oh God. So, they're shocking me. They're giving me the AED, like they're bringing me back to life. I just probably called the cold. And it wasn't until later that I found out that I literally died twice, like flatlined twice, while giving birth to these twins, twice. And that was probably the 2 times that I kept going out of it. I don't know how long I was actually in the post-op room before, I was stabilized, but I do know that once I went to, when I left the post-op room, I went to the ICU, and I was there for another 3.5 days. And I remember waking up in the bed, and the nurse, very nice woman, very, very, very nice woman, very good nurse. Her name was Juana, and she's a Hispanic woman, and she took very good care of me. And she said, oh, you're finally awake. I don't know how long I've been asleep, what they gave me to knock me out, but she said, oh, you're finally awake. And I remember hearing the surgeon, my eyes were closed, the surgeon who actually was there with my doctor in the operating room. I remember his voice. I don't, too much remember how he looks. I remember how he looks now, but not at the time. And he said, like, pretty much like, be careful with her. When they were moving me from this bed to that bed, be careful with her. She's very sensitive. She's in a lot of pain. So I got to post-op. Not post-op, I'm sorry, the ICU. And I was a wreck. I was hot. I don't know if it was a side effect of the medication, but I was boiling. They literally had to turned, because it's every unit is controlled separately, so they turned the air condition all the way down to 60. And in addition to that, I needed a fan. They went and found me a box fan somewhere and had a fan on me. Then I had ice packs all over my face, all over my neck, you know, by my side, because I was just hot. And at this time, I'm still on the catheter. I'm still on magnesium. Now I'm on, versus, you know, 3 or 4 medications, I'm on about 50 now, because everything, you know, has it's like a domino effect. This medication, now you need 2 more medications to, you know, counteract what that one medication is doing. So I was literally, not exaggerating, about on 50 medications. I had 2 stands of hanging medications next to me, one on the left and then one on the right. So now the following day, my second day in ICU, like I said, the nurse Juana, she was really good. She cared for me. She wasn't the type of nurse to, you know, come in and introduce herself at the report and then you don't see her until she's giving reports to the next person. She was actually there, seeing if I needed anything, you know, things like that. And she said, you know, she's like, hey mommy, I need to push on your uterus. Is that okay? And she actually asked before she can do it. And I said, okay, you know, but just be very gentle. Just, you know, it hurts. And she literally just like this, and I screamed. And she said, oh no, something is wrong. And she said, I'm going to call your doctor. They need to do something, because I've never seen anybody in so much pain. And my doctor ordered an ultrasound. Ultrasound came in. She did what she was supposed to do. And once we got the results back, they said, hey, you know, you have a hematoma that's like the size of a grapefruit right in front of your uterus. So that's why you're in so much pain. When every time they push, they're pushing on that hematoma. And the nurse said, I knew something was wrong with you, because I've never seen anybody in so much pain. I deal with women who had C-sections every single day, and I've never seen anybody in so much pain as you. If I put a sheet above, you know, on top of your belly, you're screaming. So lo and behold, long story short, I had to go back into surgery the same day. I went back to surgery, and this time they gave me general anesthesia. I don't know the effects of general anesthesia. I just know they put a mask over my face, told me to take 5 deep breaths. Before I remember counting to 3 on the 3rd breath. I don't remember anymore. I just remember waking back up in the ICU again. And this time, you know, they were able to drain the hematoma, but I had like there was like a little bulb thing they connected to me. I forgot what it's called. It was called Packer. It was called something, but I don't know, maybe I'm giving the wrong name. But anyway, it was like a little bulb that the hematoma would drain into, and then every so often the nurse would, you know, come and empty it. It was kind of like a little bag on the side, but it was like a little plastic ball. And she would drain it or whatever. And that was pretty much the story of the ICU. You know, before I went to do the second surgery, they gave me a PICC line, because they said, you know, pretty much the IVs that I had from when I was started in there on Monday were no good. So they gave me a PICC line, which I didn't mind. It didn't really hurt too much. The PICC line was right here in my arm, right here on the top part of my arm, because I was able to get anesthesia through it. Anytime they need to draw blood, they can do it through there. You know, it was still fine. And I still had IV in the other arm, just not the one that, you know, I started with when I came into the hospital. So at this time now, remember, I haven't seen the babies yet. Now the babies are maybe like 3 or 4 days old, and I haven't seen them yet. So I kept asking, like, you know, when am I going to see my babies? And they said, like, you know, when you leave, once you get out of ICU, then you'll be able to see them. Okay, cool. Let me put him down.